Okay, so this is my not quite tutorial of how I made the shorts from Harley Quinn's movie Birds of Prey. So this is the shorts that I'm working with, and this is a reference photo. Now I know her shorts are a lot lighter than my ones, but this is all I had to work with. So what I did was take a light coloured pencil, and going against the reference photo, I just drew in where I thought I wanted to cut everything so that I didn't make a mistake. And obviously you don't need it to be perfect or anything. And then I just took my scissors. I lost my fabric scissors, so I just used these. And then I cut along the lines that I had. And this is where I took my pliers and started pulling on the edges so that all of the threads would come loose, so that everything was a lot more rough and frayed and just, looked worn. Up using both the pliers and my hands, kind of rubbing the fabric together to try and pull more of the edges, to pull more of the threads out. And once I had finished that on the other side of the shorts, I again took my pencil, sketched in where I wanted the cut to be, and then cut it out. Then once more I went in with my pliers, pulled a bunch of threads, and got everything to match the other side of the shorts. Is a trick that I picked up from a different tutorial of how to make these shorts using embroidery thread, which I measured and then cut to length for the holes of the shorts. And then once I had that ready, I flipped the shorts inside out and got to work. Now here, for some reason, I decided that it would be a good idea to use some fabric bonding tape that I had and a hair straightener. This actually was a terribly thought out plan. I just didn't know where my hot glue gun was. So I placed all of the pieces of embroidery thread where I wanted them, and then tried to secure them into place with the fabric tape. Where I decided to call it quits and actually grab the hot glue gun. So with my hot glue gun, I just did little dabs of glue to hold down the pieces of embroidery thread, and then kind of smooshed it down into the shorts so that there weren't big lumps. And then I added more pieces of embroidery thread, hot gluing them all down to match the reference photo and how normal shorts fray themselves. And this process took a bit of time, using both thicker and much thinner pieces of the thread, but it is worth it to get the right look. And then eventually, when that was all done, I took the bottom of the shorts and just glued that fabric piece back in place. And then I went over to the other side of the shorts and did the same thing, hot gluing down the pieces that I already had, and then adding more embroidery thread to match the reference photo. Then once I was done with that, I flipped the shorts back the right way, made sure that the little bottom piece was glued in properly, and just fiddled with the thread to make sure that it all looked good. Here is when I started on the black stripes for the shorts. I drew in where I wanted the lines to start in accordance with the reference photo, as Harley has some red stars on one side of her shorts. So then, using masking tape, I just laid that down in lines that weren't too straight, because these needed to look like hand painted lines. After I had lined up all of the masking tape, I took some black fabric paint and began painting in the lines. Obviously, you don't need to be too tidy, as you have the masking tape as a kind of stencil. Once that was all painted and slightly dry, I peeled off all of the masking tape. Then I took a little moment to go back over the lines with more of the black fabric paint and just tried to make sure that the lines were not too perfect. Again, we want these to look hand painted by Harley herself. Moving on to the back of the shorts, I let the fabric paint dry overnight. So this was day 2, and again I measured where I needed the stripes to start from, due to the red stars which went from the front around to the back of the shorts, and then I put in the measuring tape guidelines. Started with just half of the back of the shorts, covered that with the masking tape, and then got to work painting in the lines again with my black fabric paint. back here, make sure to go all the way up to the top of the shorts, whereas at the front not all of the lines do go up to the top, so make sure you follow the reference photo. Then you can peel away all the masking tape, make sure the lines aren't too perfect, and you're good to go. Just let the fabric paint dry for a while. Moving on to the stars, I took a scrap piece of cardboard and I hand drew the stars. And then I cut them out so that I had little stencils. So I had somehow managed to lose this footage between doing this and doing a TikTok video with the same shorts, but what I did was painted red fabric paint directly onto the shorts and then realized that that didn't look very good, so I went back and on the stars that I had traced out did a layer of white fabric paint first. Then I just took the red fabric paint and painted over the white stars. And I made sure to follow the reference photo and add the little stars at the top of the shorts. And then once the fabric paint is dry, turn the shorts back over and do the same with the stars on the back with a layer of white paint first and then the red, and then you're complete. And these are my completed shorts from Birds of Prey. I hope you enjoyed my little not quite tutorial video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!